Well, it is an all-Democratic affair in there, and don't Republicans know it, and isn't my next guest ticked off because of it? In fact, Minnesota Congressman John Kline says that the GOP has been left out of this entire process. So, Congressman, I guess no surprises here, but what do you make of it?
Well, Neil, you're right. There are no surprises here. This is exactly the same pattern we've seen all year long. The Democrats go behind closed doors. They draft legislation. In some cases, they haven't even presented it to the rest of Congress, the Republicans, until hours before we're asked to vote on it. This is a continuation of that pattern, and the notion that I think the Speaker put forward earlier, that this is the most open and transparent process that anybody in Congress today can remember, is just simply not the case.
But, you know, I've had a lot of them on. I'm sorry, sir, but I had a lot of them on, or at least when it comes to the White House chef. I have had that on. And one of the things they tell me is that they gave you guys a chance. They invited you to the table, and you were obstinate, and you said no, and you left in a huff and a tantrum. What say you?
That's just simply not true. We have been pressing all year long to be brought to the table. We've had great ideas and great alternatives to present on their cap and trade legislation, on the so-called stimulus bill, and certainly on health care. But what they've done is draft the legislation. Democrats draft it. Then they bring it forward and sort of dare Republicans to try to amend it. And then they go back and draft another hundreds of pages of a manager's amendment and bring it forward and dare Republicans to amend it. That's not the way to get serious legislation done. This affects 1/6 of the economy and every single American. And it ought to be done in a bipartisan way where Republicans and Democrats sit down and say, what is it that we can agree on?
Well, you might be right, Congressman.
What is it that we can do?
With all respect, sir, that isn't happening. So now we go back to what will likely happen, and that is, and argue with me if you think I'm wrong on this, I think they're going to pass something. It might not be as big as you fear or as big as they want, but they'll get something. And then that proverbial camel's nose is under the tent, and they're there. What do you make of it?
Well, certainly that's a fear. And every Republican in the House and the Senate is going to be pushing back against that. What we want is to come together and work on something that will actually lower the cost of health care and lower the cost of premiums. And what they're trying to do is, once again, put speed over policy. And you're right in, I believe, in their hope that they're going to get something passed. And the question is how bad is that? And if it's as bad as it looks in either the House or the Senate version right now, then we're going to have to do everything we can to push back against that. And frankly, as soon as we get the numbers, to change it.
What do you make of these numbers that show that the healthcare spending in general, in the aggregate, started declining precipitously last year, and particularly in the last 3 months to the last month? What do you make of it? Is it a recession thing? Is it everyone's watching spending in view of what the government could be doing? What?
I think you've hit both of those are possibilities. I mean, that's been new information that I've just picked up on during the break here. And certainly the economy, the recession could be part of that, and people hedging their bets across the board. They don't know what's going to happen. And you know this very well because of the very name of the show that you're hosting here, that businesses are very, very concerned about what's going to happen. They don't know. They're living in a world of uncertainty. They're trying to make decisions. They don't know what's going to happen with energy. They don't know what's going to happen with health care. They don't know what's going to happen with taxes. They're trying to make decisions, and they don't know what's going to happen. It's all the more reason, frankly, to get back where we started, why this debate on health care ought to come out from behind closed doors. It ought to go into a legitimate conference committee, and it ought to be covered. I understand that C-SPAN has been demanding coverage of this. It ought to be. The president said he wants to do that. Let's see it. We
shall see. That's right. Brian Lamb is pushing for that. Congressman, Happy New Year to you. Thank you for coming.
And Happy New Year to you, Neil.